Good evening, everyone. Mike Palmer from Know Your Rights Group and Success Coaching International with another important live video update. First and foremost, I want to do a special shout out and thank you to everyone who left lovely comments on our feed last time, just inquiring about my eye and saying they were hoping it feels better. As you can see, much better today. It was just a sty. I've been given some drops and it's all cleared up and feeling much better. No, unlike some funny buggers who posted things, no, I haven't had the vaccine jab or anything like that. Nothing like that at all. All right, so let's get into it. Can you believe this? After 12 months of doing these live video updates, I'm still getting questions about these masks. It's doing my head in. Okay, I can't believe it. There's still people out there asking about these. All right. Now, apparently, McGowan has extended the period in WA that people have to wear these masks, and people are quite understandably, getting very frustrated and wanting to know how to deal with these. But speaking of getting frustrated, I have literally lost count of how many times I've addressed this on these videos over the past 12 months. And either the message is just not getting through or we're getting a whole bunch of newbies to these videos, which is great, but they're not doing what I keep asking them to do, which is go back and watch the last 12 months worth of videos. I didn't do all these videos for the fun of it. I did it to help inform people. So please, if you're new to our website, you're new to these videos, new to our channel, whatever it is, please go back and watch these videos. Okay, it's just so frustrating when we keep getting the same questions again and again. And then some people go, how come you keep talking about the same stuff, Mike? And then other people complain, oh, you're not talking about anything new, or we haven't heard this before. And it's just like, okay, but I've got broad shoulders, thankfully, so I'll just keep banging away and doing the best I can. Now, apparently the latest story is, apparently there's a woman in WA, she was offered a mask by the police, she refused. She was offered a mask a second time, again she refused, and then apparently they arrested her and she's been held without bail. Now, I haven't had a chance to research the full story myself, but from what I understand, it's the same situation that keeps coming up again and again. Someone sent us a message on Facebook Messenger just last week about it. Again, we don't use Facebook Messenger, just email us, please. Okay, but it's the same situation. They refuse to give their name and address to police. Okay, this seems to be the reason why people keep getting arrested, and then people claim, oh, I was arrested because I wasn't wearing a mask. No, you weren't arrested because you weren't wearing a mask. You were arrested because you spoke to the police and they asked you for your name and address and you didn't give it to them. Okay, so I want to make this clear. Now, this doesn't make it right, okay, because the police actually have no lawful power to arrest you, simply to ascertain your details, and they have no power to arrest you unless they intend to charge you. Okay, and failing to speak to police when you're just walking down the street is not a chargeable offence, but failing to provide your name and address when asked is. Please make sure you understand the distinction. Now, again, we've explained this many times on these videos. According to the Supreme Court ruling, okay, that's not Mike's ideas or thoughts, this is the Supreme Court ruling in the matter of DPP versus Hamilton. The judge clearly said you are not required to stop and speak to police unless you are under arrest. And of course, once you're under arrest, you have the right to remain silent. You don't have to tell them anything. Now, this is further backed up, okay, by the other Supreme Court matter, and that is in the matter of Regina v. Banner. Okay, both of these are in the court cases chapter on our book. It's on the court cases link on our website, so you can go and look these up. But again, in Regina v. Banner, the judge said police have no right to detain you for the purposes of facilitating an investigation. Asking you why you're not wearing a mask is clearly facilitating an investigation. So they have no right to do that. Okay, so if you're just walking down the street, minding your own business, not harming anyone, irrespective of whether you're wearing a mask or not, and the police call out to you, you do not have to stop and talk to them. Okay? Also, they cannot lawfully physically stop you, stand in front of you, okay, and detain you and make you speak to them. Okay, if they attempt to do that, they're breaking the law. Right? Now, having said that, if you do, for whatever reason, stop and talk to them, if you do engage with them and they do ask you your name and address, then you need to give it to them. Okay, otherwise you're just going to end up making things far, far worse for yourself, as a number of people have found out over the past 12 months and seemingly quite recently in WA. Okay, now again, you can sit there arguing until you're blue in the face, or you're like, oh, I shouldn't have to give them those details and all the rest of it. Okay, but that's completely irrelevant when you're sitting in the back of a divvy van or you're sitting in a police cell. Okay, so just give them what they ask for. Who cares? What are they going to do with this information? What are they going to do? Give you a fine, a little piece of paper? Who cares? Because I tell you what, if there's one thing that I've spoken about more on these videos, other than what to say if you're stopped by police and being asked about a mask, and that is how to effectively challenge a fine for not wearing one. Okay, so again, if you're in any way, shape or form concerned about that, go back and watch those videos where we address that very, very clearly. But one more time, for the slow people up the back, or maybe some of the newbies to the channel, if someone asks you, do you have a mask, or why aren't you wearing a mask, or anything like that, you simply state, I have a medical exemption. That's it. They cannot lawfully ask you, what is your medical exemption? Do you have your medical exemption on you? Can you show me your medical exemption? They can't do any of that. Okay? Now, the minute someone asks you for more details, you just simply say to them something along the lines of, look, officer, I'd hate for you to get in trouble. I understand that this interaction is being recorded, because they often wear the body cam recorders now. Okay, so for your protection, right, I'm informing you that the minute you ask me for my personal, private medical information without actually being a medically trained professional who is treating me right now with my consent, the minute you did that, you are actually committing an offence. So I tell you what, I'll forget that you ever said that to me if you just let me go on my way. All right, now at that point, the officer should immediately go, okay, this person knows what they're talking about. We do not want to get involved. Off you go. Okay, how do I know this? Because it's happened to us. It's happened to the other people on the Know Your Rights group. Okay, this is what works. Now, if they push you and they ask you for your name and address, or they say anything other than, no worries, mate, on your way, then at that point, everything is done under duress, and you inform them of that. Okay, you explain that you've told them that they're committing an offence, okay, by detaining you, contrary to Regina v. Banner. They're committing an offence, okay, because they're asking you for your personal private medical information without actually being a medically trained professional who's treating you, okay. Therefore, because they're standing over you and because they're all armed with guns, they're now an armed offender, okay. So you explain all this to them. So you explain that therefore, under duress, because they're an armed offender, you will comply with whatever it is that they request of you, okay. And just do that. And explain that you'll be making a formal report to their superiors, and again, go ahead and do that. I've lost track of a lot of stuff tonight, but the other thing I've lost track of is the number of cases that we've reported on, especially over the last couple of years, okay, where people have sued the police for acting in excess of their powers, and they have received hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars in compensation. Okay, it happens all the time. Again, anyone who's been following us for a number of years now would remember that I was personally unlawfully detained in Sydney by the Federal Police. Obviously, I can't go into details, but I sued them and we negotiated out of court and they had to pay me. Okay, this stuff works. I can tell you from personal experience. Okay, so for it to work for you though, you have to know your rights and you have to take a stand for them. And of course, the best way to do that is via our book, The Essential Step-by-Step Manual for Understanding and Exercising Your Rights. If you don't yet have this book, please go to the link in the description and grab it now. Okay? You will be blown away by how much information is in there. All right, so moving on. The other thing that we've addressed a number of times already, but we still keep getting questions on, is these mandatory QR codes that have now been brought in to Queensland and I believe Tasmania as of the 1st of May. Now, we haven't, of course, addressed this quite as much as we've addressed the masks, so I will explain it again for everyone. But firstly, if you are a business owner, okay, where do the requirements for your business to have a QR code actually come from? Anyone? They come from the Public Health Act or equivalent in your state. Now, yes, that is exactly the same Public Health Act, Public Health and Wellbeing Act, whatever it's called in your state. It's the exact same one that specifically dictates that you personally or your particular business must be specifically named in a public health order. So it needs to be John Smith trading as ABC Proprietary Limited or ABC Proprietary Limited. There has to be specified in a public health order. Okay. Now, of course, that public health order also needs to specify that COVID-19 is a quarantinable disease. None of these orders exist. So if you or your business has not been issued one, okay, then those directives do not apply to you or your business, okay? So if you're a business owner and you don't have a QR code and someone comes in and issues you a fine for not having those QR codes in place, that is how you would challenge it, okay? Now, the issue is, of course, that the government has scared every business so badly over COVID, okay, by showing them how easy it was to cut off their source of income, that 99% of businesses will now just blindly comply with whatever the government or the media tells them without actually looking into whether they need to lawfully do so or not. So, as a consumer, for those of you who are watching who aren't business owners, as a consumer, okay, it's up to you to nicely, calmly, and gently explain this to all of the business owners out there in the nicest way. Again, please be respectful, be understanding of their situation. I mean, how would you feel, okay, if you didn't know any better before you found all this stuff out, okay, you had not only your own income at stake, but that of your employees as well. Okay, so please approach this in a very non-confrontational, purely educational, polite manner. Okay, at the end of the day, the more people and the more businesses that wake up to the truth, okay, and understand it, okay, the quicker we're going to put an end to this absolute insanity. Now, until that time comes, of course, once you've explained things to the relevant business owner, or you might even want to do this first and then explain it, just hold up your phone, scan the QR code, pretend to enter a bit of information, close it down, and then just walk on. Okay? That's all you need to do. Again, I've personally lost count of the number of times I have done this. People said, oh, can you just scan in? I said, yeah, no problem. Hold your phone up, do that. Yep, all done, walk off. I've never been questioned on it. I've never, ever been asked about it at all. Okay? Now remember, most business owners think this whole QR thing is ridiculous as well. They don't want to deal with it, but they're protecting their income and that of their employees. So as long as you look like you're doing the right thing, so that they as a business look like they're doing the right thing in case any eyes are watching them, that's all they really care about. So remember, please pick your battles. Sometimes there's a point to stand your ground and fight. Other times you just sort of go along with it as best as you can and get on with things. All right, so moving on. Hopefully you all watched my video from Thursday night where I explained the dangers, okay, of buying into all the messages that are being pushed by the mainstream media, and I gave a couple of examples. Well, could you believe it? The very next day, an article came across my desk where, believe it or not, the illustrious mainstream media released a number of stories. This was on a number of different media channels, okay, that had the very same alarmist message, okay, that it was highly likely that there was going to be a terrorist attack in Australia at some point in the next 12 months. Now, have a look at this. So this is the one I've pulled out of the Australian, okay, and it says ASIO boss warns terror attack likely within a year, right-wing extremism growing. Now again, if you're the average punter on the street, you're going to be looking at this straight away, alarmed, fearful, oh my God, there's going to be a terror attack, despite the fact that COVID-19 has clearly solved all terror attacks because there haven't been any since COVID came out, which is just coincidental. But, you know, now COVID's kind of wearing off, so we need to go back and push the terror attack agenda. Now, this is what it says. A terror attack in Australia is likely within a year, and the threat from savvy right-wing extremists is rapidly growing, the nation's top counter-terrorism chief warns. Australian Security Intelligence Organisation ASIO Secretary Mike Burgess told a parliamentary inquiry on Thursday that the threat from right-wing terrorists had exploded over the past 3 years. Mr. Burgess said ASIO had credible intelligence, terror groups and lone wolves had capability to commit attacks, and the terror threat remained at probable. Now, straight away we can see some inconsistency. Okay, what does the word say there in the heading? Likely terror attack, likely. Now he's just downgraded it to, oh well, it's probable. Okay, on that basis, we assess that there's likely to be a terror attack sometime in the next 12 months. Mr. Burgess said that although the biggest concern remained Sunni extremist groups, particularly Islamic State, the threat from nationalist and racist groups was escalating rapidly. Young Australians are being ensnared in racist, supremacist and misogynistic ideologies in a way that is deeply concerning. It's the extent of what we're seeing that's the difference. More people interested in it, more activity, he said. Right-wing extremism now accounted for 40% of ASIO's onshore counter-terrorism workload, rising from just 16% 3 years ago, he revealed. But again, there's been no terrorist attacks since COVID came out. Just keep that in mind. More often than not, they are young, well-educated, articulate and middle class and not easily identified. Those violent extremists are acutely security conscious and adapt their security posture to avoid attention. I would think anyone with a brain nowadays would be acutely security conscious and try not to attract attention. They focus on online forums and chat rooms. They're savvy when it comes to operating within the limits of what is legal, and they discuss ways to beat the system in what they say and do. Well, blow me down with a feather. Okay, looks like I'm in trouble. I mean, holy cow. This is what the media is doing. Okay, this alarmist propaganda to keep everyone living in fear. All right, now here's the thing. Just 2 days later, I received another article across my desk that was equally misleading, if not more so. And the title of this was, Australians are supposedly being afraid to travel until the whole world was vaccinated. Yeah, you can't make this stuff up, people. All right, here it is. So this one's from the Daily Mail. And as you can see, the heading is, Australian ambassador to the US warns borders could stay shut until the entire world, and this is in bold and capitals on their website, not mine, and the entire world is vaccinated because, wait for it, because closures are so popular with terrified Aussies. This is the BS they print. Go and look this up for yourself. Because closures are so popular with terrified Aussies? Really? I don't know any. Okay? Even the ones that want to get vaccinated, even the ones that think Dan Andrews and McGowan and Palaszczuk are all doing a wonderful job, still do not embrace these lockdowns and closures. They're still against those. So where is the evidence that backs up this insane title? It goes on to say, Australia's man in Washington has suggested the border could stay shut until the entire world is vaccinated. US Ambassador Arthur Sinodinos told an online forum for the Hudson Institute that although border closures are costing Australia's economy billions, it might be years before citizens get on a plane or return home without having to quarantine. There were hopes that when Australia's COVID vaccine rollout is completed late this year, the border shutdown, which has been in effect since March 2020, would come to an end. But Mr. Sinodinos said it may take a lot longer given how scared Australian citizens are. Who's scared? Seriously. Is anyone here watching this scared? Okay? and how popular strict lockdown measures have become with the public as a result. Really? Who are these strict lockdowns popular with? Please put it in the comment on this video if that's you. I'd love to know. Okay? Giving politicians plenty of incentive to support them. Well, let's stop that right now. Waiting until the whole world, including hard-hit developing countries like India, is vaccinated could trap Australians at home until well into 2022 or even 2023. Wait, it gets better. Vaccinations alone are no guarantee that you can open up, Health Minister Greg Hunt said earlier this month. Then what the hell is everyone doing? If the whole country were vaccinated, you couldn't just open the borders. We still have to look at a series of different factors: transmission, longevity, or vaccine protection, and the global impact. And those are factors the world is learning about. I mean, this is the stuff that the media is printing to keep people living in fear. This is the kind of insane reporting that we must stop. Okay, we need to write letters, okay, to these media organizations, to the authors of these articles, okay, and demand balanced reporting. Fair, balanced, unbiased reporting. Now, if they just handball it back and go, oh, but that was the quote from such and such, so we're just reporting on what they said, then we need to write letters to those people, okay, and ask them for the evidence behind their statements, okay, because otherwise they're just clearly fear-mongering. That's it, okay. As we say to people all the time, it's not just about learning about your rights, it's also about knowing your responsibilities as well. Okay, and those reporters and those politicians have a responsibility to the general public. They need to provide fair, unbiased statements that are based on facts, not speculation or complete falsehoods. So I'm going to finish off with just one meme tonight that one of my friends posted, and that illustrates the problem with the media very, very clearly. Here you have a lovely picture of a cockroach, and it says there, cockroaches can survive a nuclear war, but hit them with a newspaper and they die. See how dangerous the media is? I think that's great, and it's a little bit of humour, but it does get the point across. Beware of the mainstream media propaganda, beware of the mainstream media agenda, and challenge it at every opportunity. Don't just read it and dismiss it. Write letters. Call these authors out. Call these people who are being interviewed out. Ask them for the evidence. So I'm going to leave it there for tonight. As always, I do urge you all to please make use of all of the various resources, these live video updates, our radio show, podcast, books, CDs, things like that, to get informed, get fired up, and again, please get proactive. We need people taking action. Okay, and of course, whatever it is, the topic that's of most interest to you, the best way to do that is via all the completely free information that's on the websites, in the link, in the description. Read that first and foremost. If, of course, you want to learn more about your rights, please grab a copy of our book. If you want to know how to challenge all manner of unjust and unlawful fines, not just traffic fines, all types of fines, grab the Aussie Speeding Fines book. And of course, if you want to learn the truth about the fraud that the banks commit every single day, as well as the tried, tested and proven process for discharging all unsecured debts, make sure you grab a copy of that Bank Secrets Reveal book. You can buy these all separately, individually, or of course you can get them as part of the combo pack. You do get that free tote bag with it, discounted postage, and all that sort of stuff. And again, there's links in the description. So I'm going to leave it there. I look forward to speaking to you all again on Tuesday night for our radio show. Please remember, that's where we can go into a lot more detail and we can cover a lot more controversial information, because we don't have any of the censorship on our radio show that we do on these Facebook and YouTube videos, okay? But please go to our radio show page. It's just knowyourrightsgroup.com.au/radio-show. Okay, just click on the big black listen live button right up the top left of that page, and be sure to tune in at 8 p.m. and that's Melbourne time on Tuesday night. And Darren, Daryl and I look forward to speaking to you all then. Have a good one.